A pleasant good evening to you all. I'm Shane Harris. And baseball season has officially started, so good luck. And also, we have finally made it. We are going to talk about the last series in the Shane Harris Tonight lineup. The last series before we introduce the bracket next Friday evening. And by the way, I put it out on my Facebook page as an event. So head to Shane Harris Tonight on Facebook. You'll find an event that says Shane Harris Tonight Tournament Bracket Reveal. And it's scheduled for next week at 8 o'clock. Meaning everyone, hop over to this YouTube page right now on that day. And you'll get the gist of how the tournament is gonna be filtered. So, we've come down to this, the 24th and final entrant into the Shane Harris Tonight lineup. And just like a few of the other ones I've talked about, Code Lyoko, Foot de Rue, Oban Star Racers, and Monster Buster Club especially, this one is built and bred en français. It is a European French series, but unlike those ones I mentioned, this one came from one of the oldest movie studios in the world, who had its own cartoon division, a company called Gulmont. And that show in question is Dude, That's My Ghost. A series that never made it to the States, but it has a strong following on its home continent of Europe. And just like majority of the Shane Harris Tonight cartoons, this one I first started watching during the pandemic. And of course it was one of the last second decisions, because after all, we're going to need a couple of filler shows. Why not this one? But at least this one has an interesting plot that I'm going to try to not spoil. Now, for the first time ever in Shane Harris Tonight lineup, we got two British-born actors leading a series. Longtime Thunderbirds regular Rasmus Hardiker, now at the age of 40 apparently, is Spencer Wright, a 14-year-old who in 2013, when the show is actually produced, he happens to do a lot of movie making himself, making a bunch of home movies, particularly on the sci-fi and mostly paranormal end. So if you're throwing a Ghostbusters kind of celebration, you're gonna probably most likely have him there. But you may be wondering, who the hell's the blue dude? Well, that is Billy Joe Cobra, voiced by Sony music recording artist Beardy Man, whose real name is Darren Foreman, who in real life happens to be a very well-talented guy. He actually released a song called 6 a.m. featuring Joe Rogan back in 2019, and he also won the British National Beatboxing Championship in 2006 and in 2007. And he does a lot of musical tricks like rap, scat music, and also voice impressions. And it's his voice impressions that actually made this character stick very well, because BJC, as the show and its fans affectionately nickname him, happens to be a rock and roll heartthrob for many on the TV show. And unfortunately, he died. So, part of how Spencer can see him is with this little, necklace of sorts that contains a blue, blur kind of shape, similar to the shape of Cobra's head. And he can basically interact and see with him all the time with it. The rest I'm not going to tell you due to spoiler concerns, because this series actually has its own official YouTube page ran by Gulmont. Now, how did the bromance thing come about? Consider this. I don't know if I should thank Rasmus and Beardy Man because of how damn good they are together, or should I thank the writers and the creator, Belgian-born Jan van Rysselbeck, the creator of Robot Boy, for concocting the idea that these two are basically the best of friends. And a lot of people don't know about it. I don't know, but I should thank both. But it is amazing nonetheless. And if you try to go on DeviantArt or literally any social media page, punch in "dude, that's my ghost," you'll most likely find a lot of fan art between these two characters. Because these two were written in such a perfect way to the point where it is basically seen as the greatest bromance in cartoon history. Yeah. So, that's basically probably the primary reason why anyone in the US has ever came across this show, is the power of social media. While it did air in Canada, bizarrely, on BBC, but it aired in the UK on Disney XD, and it also aired in its homeland of France on a network that's similar to HBO. And that is the Orange Cinema series, now owned by Studio Canal. So, yeah, you're going to have to pay extra if you were living there. You have to pay extra just to watch a flipping cartoon that is 11 minutes long a piece, and it's not storyline driven. Yikes. Speaking of HBO, because of the passing of former analyst and former boxing world champion George Foreman, and because I love their boxing theme song so much, I'm going after the PS1 HBO boxing video game. And I'm going to have that be in my collection of video games that I have. So, that's just a side quest for me. Meanwhile, for this show, there's one thing I really love, and that is the character design. It's not too rough, not too cheap, and like a lot of the Jan van Rysselbeck concepts, it is very, very fluid. Like at first glimpse, you may be thinking this is a show from the United States. Until you actually do some Google searching, found out that this is, just like Code Lyoko and Street Football, it is French. Is there a US dub? Of course there is a English dub from the two guys I already mentioned that are the lead two on the show. Rasmus Hardiker and Mr. Beardy Man. And funny enough, one more thing about Hardiker. He actually tagged along with Steve Coogan. Yes, that's Steve Coogan. To do some short-lived BBC sitcom about this one guy, Coogan, who drives this yellow Mustang around. I forget the name of it, though I was only hearing about it because I did a bit of Google searching on Hardiker yesterday. By the way, I'm filming this on Thursday because throughout the weekend I gotta prep the entire tournament bracket. It's gonna be big. Gonna lay down a few rules on a different paper that I have. So, yeah. Anyway, if you look in the description box, you'll find all the moments where Cobra was actually singing, just to prove that Darren Foreman is a hell of a singer. not only as a voice actor, but also he was literally flexing his vocal cords on a lot of the songs he did. Trust me, it's probably one of the most enjoyable 3 minutes you'll ever get. And oh, by the way, let me get this. Okay then, the light's being used by another app. Okay then. Let's light this thing up, because that is only number 24 out of this many. Out of this many, we had 24 of the best cartoons most people never heard of, or ones that were pushed to the curb. Beginning on April 11th, they will go to war. And before they even do that, it is next Friday, April the 4th, where viewers will have to get the gist of how the new Mayhem Tournament bracket works. It's going to require you to have the YouTube page on your phone working, and also make sure you go to the post section when the questions come up. It's one of these cartoons that'll be next on the Shane Harris Tonight Extra featuring my drawings. Who knows? It could be the latest 2 entries. Atomic Betty, Monster Buster Club, and now, Dude, That's My Ghost. It could be one that underperformed, like Oban with only 9 views, or Street Football of less than 15. It could be one with 4 likes. That's the case of GarageBand and my most popular one, Johnny Test. It could be one that has 0 likes. That's the case of Ejixis and OKKO. Or maybe we shall dance again with D and Ace. Who knows? Now, this tournament is going to be an interesting one. You'll see when we get to next Friday. Till then, I'm Shane Harris. I will see you then for the first and probably the only Mayhem tournament. Good night and take care.